Hello and welcome to Let's Make It Vegan. I'm Chef Fred, and today what I'm going to do for you is a non-traditional kind of Thanksgiving dinner. And I'm actually really excited about this because before in most of my videos I've been basically showing how to do something very traditional in a vegan way. Today I'm going to go a little bit off on a tangent, more into the way that I like to cook and the way that I like to put things together, which is maybe not your ordinary kind of way to do things, but it's going to be my take on a really innovative and neat way to put together a Thanksgiving dinner of all your traditional flavors that you're used to for Thanksgiving, but in a little bit different way. And it's going to actually be very easy. There are several components to what I'm going to be doing today. So keeping that in mind, in order to keep this video from being extremely long, I'm not going to show all of the cooking and prep of the different items, but what I'm going to do is go over exactly what I'm doing with the different sections of what I'm preparing today, and you'll see that. So just want to let you know, you're not going to see me doing a lot of stirring and prep at the oven, but I am going to explain to you how much and what I'm using for each of the different things. So basically what we are going to do today is we are going to create a turkey seitan, which are traditional vital wheat gluten and pea protein, and we're going to put that together using a vegan chicken base and your normal flavors of your regular poultry seasoning, and basically put together a fairly quick, easy seitan for turkey. In order to do that, basically we're going to go ahead and put that together. Along with the turkey, we're also going to do stuffing. And for our stuffing, we are going to use, I have some whole wheat bread here and some just regular old traditional French stick, French bread kind of thing. And these I'm going to just cube up and put in the oven and get dried out. Not necessarily toasted, but just dried out till it's kind of crunchy. And it is important that you actually do that rather than just using your soft, moist bread. And the reasoning for that is that the flavors that you're going to add to this through your flavored stock and veggies, you want the bread to be dry so that it actually then sucks up these flavors and makes your stuffing much more flavorful and just carries a lot more to it. If we use these guys regular, just out of the package, it already has moisture, and whatever moisture it absorbs is not going to be full of flavor. It's just going to be full of bread. So it is important that whenever we do these, that we cube it up and get it dried out so that we're going to be adding flavor. And the flavors that I'm going to be doing is the basic vegan chicken stock. And this is a chicken stock that is available at most Oriental markets. This I picked up, and it's a really great tasting, has no actual chicken product, chicken fat, no animal products in it. Really good to go to. And for that, we're just going to basically do a small dice up of onion, carrot, celery, and of course then do our poultry seasoning also. So we're going to go ahead and get these guys cut up, cubed up, small, saute it in a little bit of butter, and add some water in our stock to that and the poultry seasoning in order to make a really flavorful turkey stock that's going to go and flavor our stuffing. Along with that, we're also going to put in some fresh herbs. I've got some fresh sage and some fresh thyme. You can definitely go ahead and use, some kind of a dried herbs. I just thought it would be nice in order to add some fresh ones too there, just to bring in a little bit more flavor. Also, that's our turkey and stuffing. Also, what we're going to do is cranberries. And instead of doing your traditional cranberry, and I know everybody's used to your traditional canned cranberry sauce, or if you're really adventurous, you can get into using fresh cranberries an orange juice and some flavors and create your own fresh cranberry sauce. And that's also wonderful too. Go right ahead. Because of the way I'm going to be putting this together and assembling it at the end, I wanted something a little more hearty and a little more, less of a sauce, but more of a jam sort of thing. So what I am going to do is create a cranberry sauce kind of thing by using dried cranberries. And the reason I'm using dried cranberries is we're going to be infusing a lot of flavors in here. If I use fresh cranberries, they also, much like any fresh fruit, is going to have a lot of juice to it. But what I want to do is reduce that amount of juice, but put flavors into it. So we're going to be using dried cranberries, some actual fresh oranges, and we are going to zest the oranges too. I've got cinnamon sticks, a couple of apples. We're going to dice up apples and put in there for a little bit of flavor. We're going to grate up some ginger in there, lemon juice. Lemon juice in any kind of fresh fruit kind of thing is really good because it just brightens the flavors up. And just do some chopped shallot, which is going to add a little more savoriness to it and a little more spices. Along with the cinnamon sticks, we will go ahead and add some other dried spices to it, such as like nutmeg. So this is going to be basically a cranberry compote, a sauce, whatever you want to call it. And that's basically how we're going to do it. And that'll come out a little bit thick. I will probably add a little bit of a cornstarch slurry to that to make sure it does stay nice and thick. But that's going to be our sauce that's going to go on top of these things. And what I haven't talked about yet is how this is actually going to be put together. We're going to be doing, like I said, non-traditional, something a little more out of the ordinary. These guys are going to go into either call it a taco, a wrap, whatever you want to call it. But I have some wonderful kale and Swiss chard, some great leaves of kale and Swiss chard that in the end what we're going to do is take our turkey meat, our stuffing, and our cranberry sauce and create a nice little wrap or taco using our nice wonderful green leaves. So that's basically what is going to be happening in here. And also with that, as far as an accompaniment, we are going to be using some squash. I've got a butternut squash here that we're going to basically just peel, dice up into small cubes, and add some cinnamon and some maple syrup. And that's going to be our kind of replacement for your normally traditional sweet potatoes. If you've never done butternut squash just roasted with some maple syrup and a little bit of cinnamon, nutmeg, you're really missing out. This stuff is great, a wonderful fall flavor, so that's going to be our side. So basically what I'm going to do is go ahead and get started with this. We're going to start chopping our veggies for our stuffing, start getting our bread in there toasting, going to work on the seitan, and I will be taking pictures along the way to just give you an idea of exactly what I'm doing. Rather than take you through all the different steps by video, I'm going to, interrupt a few times, come in, talk to you about what I'm doing. We'll put together our cranberries and we'll let you know how we're working out. But I'm going to go and get started to work on this stuff, prepping, getting ready. We'll be checking in periodically to let you know what's going on, taking some pictures along the way. But I thank you for tuning in, and hopefully this will be as exciting to you as it is for me to make. Thanks, and we'll see you in a few. Okay guys, here I'm back. Just been actually 3-4 minutes since I left you. Cleared out some of the stuff. I still got some of my stuff for the cranberry over here. But what I'm going to do is give you a quick and dirty on doing the turkey seitan. If you've seen my other video where I did the chicken seitan for the gyros, this is going to be a little bit different than that, and I'll go over exactly what I've done. I have basically what I created as a mock turkey broth right here with the chicken, the vegan chicken granules, the poultry seasoning, and I had this in some very hot water that earlier this morning that I used very hot water just so that the flavors would get mixed up very well. This has then been sitting in the refrigerator. As I went over before, whenever you are making seitan, you want your liquid to be cold. If you put hot liquid in with the vital wheat gluten, it is going to really seize up. So you definitely want to start with a cold liquid. I've got 1 cup of vital wheat gluten here that I'm going to just go ahead and add into our glass measuring cup, and I got a 1/2 cup of pea protein that I'm going to use. Now, one of the reasons I'm not using 100% vital wheat gluten, I want this to be a little softer in texture. We are going to put this together, and we are going to end up slicing it into strips kind of things to put into our wraps. So I want it to be a little more soft. If you go with 100% vital wheat gluten, a lot of times making seitan out of that really gets tough, and I want to avoid that. So I try to tone down the vital wheat gluten with a little bit of something else. Before I used textured vegetable protein, which gave it a little more texture, but here I want it to stick together a little bit better, but not be really, really tough. So you've got your vital wheat gluten in here, and I've got my turkey broth here, and I'm just going to go ahead and start adding some to it. I don't know if I'm going to use all this, but I'm going to kind of judge and see how it comes together, because we want this to be moist and come together basically as a thick dough, and definitely need some more. Probably going to have a pretty close to using the right amount here. And once we get this mixed up, we can go ahead and start kneading it a little bit more like dough with our hands. And as you see, this guy is starting to come together a little bit better. Might need a little bit more. I think we got just enough in here. And one tip whenever you are making your broth, and this is something I went over in the other video about this, you want this broth to be basically double strength. If it tastes like normal chicken broth, turkey broth kind of stuff to you, it's not strong enough. Because what's going to happen is when we're adding all this to our vital wheat gluten and different mixes in here, this is going to actually make a pretty decent amount of our turkey once it's steamed and goes together into our mix. So this will actually end up being a pretty large thing, and just that amount of liquid needs to flavor that larger amount. So I usually call it like double strength. So if it tastes a little salty and a little extra for you, that's what you're looking for. Through years of doing this, I've discovered if you just use something that tastes good, once you get it in here, it's actually going to taste like you didn't have enough. So that's one big tip whenever you're doing seitan. Use a little more flavoring than you think you need. And this is all put together here. You can see it's pretty much like a dough. And we are going to go ahead and knead this up a little bit. And as you see, it's moist. It's staying together. And as we work with this and as it sits and rests a little bit, that vital wheat gluten is going to really start to take hold and make this into a bit more of a doughy, solid texture. And then what we are going to do with this is steam it. This is then going to go into my steamer for about 45 minutes, just to make sure that it's cooked through, and this will then be 100% done. So this is all it takes in order to make a wonderful mock turkey. And I do want to point out, if you are working on a Thanksgiving dinner or any meal you're doing, and something like this seems a little bit above your level of comfort in the kitchen, don't be afraid to use some kind of a commercially done frozen turkey cutlet. There are some available out there, and you know, one of the things that I always say is, you know what, as long as you're in creating and you know, you're just not using it straight out of the package and putting it on a plate, add a little something to it, make it your own. If you want to start with turkey cutlets and go ahead and make some of these other things and just cut up the turkey cutlets in there, great. As long as you're just not putting that straight old out of the freezer turkey cutlet on a plate, you're doing something better. And that's all we're looking for when we're trying to make a meal. So we've got this guy basically here, and as you see, it's kind of held together. It's like a dough. And this guy here is going to go in our steamer, and we'll get that steamed up and we'll have our turkey stuff. So we'll get together, start working on some of these other things, and we've got one of them out of the way. I'll catch you in a few. Alright guys, here we are. Just ready to give an update on where we're at in preparing all this stuff for our little crazy Thanksgiving dinner kind of thing here. First off, we did get this is the seitan that we mixed up, and it's firm, a little soft, but this is our turkey that we'll end up getting into slices to put into our wraps. And as far as our cranberry chutney, we've got it right here, and you can see that this guy has thickened up. The apples have cooked down, cranberries are all hydrated. Now I do want to let you know, the only liquids, the 2 oranges, I did use a 12-ounce bottle of just a commercial orange juice just for a little more liquid, and whatever lemon was in 1 lemon juice. And I did pictures of this as you're going, so you will be able to see these kind of things, but this just basically sat and simmered. We do have 2 cinnamon sticks in there getting the flavor, and I did dust a little bit of nutmeg in there too. So that's basically the consistency that this guy got to. Really happy with that. And that is going to be our little sweetened cranberry sauce that we're going to be getting on there. We've also toasted up our cubes of bread. As you can hear, I mean, they're not really toasted brown, but they are dried out and a little bit crispy. We do have our fresh sage that I just basically julienned up, cut into little strips, and I went ahead and just got a little bit of thyme here, just pulled the thyme leaves off of the stems, and so those guys are going to be going in here. We'll go ahead and just mix up this stuffing here real quick. We'll go ahead and put our sage in there and thyme, and we have our broth that we had our diced up, and you'll be able to see it as I'm going. We got our diced up carrots, celery, onions, and what I'm going to do is just get that in here, and we want to get as much of these veggies in here as possible. So that's why I'm not just pouring it. I don't want the veggies to stay at the bottom. And we'll get these bread cubes here hydrated up and mixed up a little bit. And this will be the beginning of our stuffing. And we'll get these guys in here and mix through. You don't want to get it real soaked, so I'm going to get what moisture we have in here mixed through nice and spread around before I add a little bit more of the moisture. So this stuffing, remember we used our vegan chicken stock along with poultry seasoning. We've got our celery, onions, and carrots. I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of some of this moisture in here. We'll get all the veggies and we'll get this mixed up. And then what I'll do is basically this will go into a casserole dish and we'll get it warmed up in the oven, and it's going to be our stuffing that we're going to use for our turkey wraps with our cranberries on it, and kind of give you an update as to where we are. And we'll be back to show you a little bit more later. We still have to work on our butternut squash, get that roasting, and then we'll be able to put it together. We'll see you in a few. Okay, here we are. We're back. We've got everything basically ready, prepared to completely finish up our dish. We've got our stuffing that we've had in the oven for a little while. You can see it's steamy, hot, moist. It's got our carrots, celery, onion in there ready to go. We've got our cranberry apple chutney right here. This thing is so luscious. Honestly, guys, if you take nothing from this video, this is what you need. This is incredibly, unbelievably awesome. When this video is done, this stuff is getting poured down my throat. It is honestly just completely wonderful. We've got our turkey seitan here. And basically what I did with this guy was just kind of pulled it apart with my fingers, crumbled it up so that we had our turkey meat in with everything. Our butternut squash we've got right here, and basically we really just added our maple syrup, some cinnamon, and roasted this guy. And this is wonderful, ready to go. This is going to be honestly better than any kind of sweet potato combination you've had. So what I'm going to do is kind of show you how I'm going to put this together. It is completely up to you how you want to do this. Honestly, you could put some stuffing on a plate, throw in some of your turkey, and get some of the cranberry stuff on top. It's ready to go. I'm going to make some kind of like a wrap with a nice big pretty leaf right here of chard, and you can use chard, you can use kale. If you prefer a lettuce like a bib lettuce to kind of even just, you know, something smaller to make a taco, go right ahead. Whatever you're comfortable with. Even if you want to use a regular taco shell, I don't care. This is a kind of idea that you can make your own. These are just innards of flavor that are right there to kind of tell you it's Thanksgiving time. You've got your turkey, stuffing, cranberries, a sweet potato mimic made with the butternut squash. This is an idea. You guys make with, you know, with it what you want. take part of it, some of it. It's here, ready to go. But let me just give you a little hint of what I'm looking to do with this guy. We're going to get some stuffing in here on the bottom, and this stuff's got all our nice veggies in there, the turkey stock ready to go. We're going to take some of this crumbled up turkey or faux turkey that we've got, and of course our cranberry chutney right here we're going to throw over the top. And this stuff, I'm telling you, is killer. We got that there, and we're just going to kind of make a wrap out of this guy. Fold the sides in, tuck it in, roll it over and around, and there we've got one. Make another one for you. So you're going to put our stuffing in here. A little bit. There we go. And some of our turkey. And this stuffing's got a lot of flavor in it, so you really aren't going to need the gravy. You're going to throw some cranberries on top here. Ready to go. Excuse me for licking my fingers. I would not do that if you were eating this, but it's just me and my wife Maureen who's manning the camera right now. We'll give this a nice wrap up and get this over here. We've got a beautiful green, you know what, and you're not missing anything. You've got your salad in here too from the wrap. So we've got our traditional but non-traditional Thanksgiving dinner here. We've got all the flavors that you would ever want in a way that's not so traditional. And like I said, this is the kind of stuff that I love making. Something that's going to give you the flavors of things that you're used to, but in a way that might be a little bit different and kick it up a notch. I thank you for joining me. I do want to say, definitely like, subscribe, tell your friends. Things like this are a little bit different. And moving forward, I do want people to suggest the kind of things that they're looking for. But also, along with that, I'm going to interject some of the ideas I have, like this kind of thing. I thank you for joining me. Like, subscribe, click the bell to be notified when new videos come out, and we're going to keep doing this for you. And let me know the kind of things you're looking for. This is the kind of things I want to do, but I'm really more interested in the kinds of things that you want to see. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful holiday season. Thanks.